Queria começar perguntando para o Marshall.
Marshall here.
O Dana White tinha falado que se o Glover Teixeira ganhasse de uma forma impressionante hoje,
ganharia a chance to go for a title bout fighting the winner of John Jones and Gustafsson. Will this in fact happen? Have you already spoken to Dana and Joe Silva to know if that in fact will happen?
Yeah, that's confirmed. Dana's confirmed it, Joe's confirmed it. Glover gets the next shot.
Queria perguntar para o Glover também.
And I'd like to ask Glover, please, I'd like to ask you, do you feel you're ready to fight against a fighter like the level of John Jones today? Yes, definitely. I believe I need to focus my camp in a different manner. Ryan Bader is a very high-level opponent. He's fought against a lot of top people in the division, and I'm sure that I believe in my knockout power and my submission power and my wrestling.
For Marshall, if I could please. Marshall, obviously a Wednesday night event, not what we're used to seeing in Brazil with the huge crowds and all that. Not to talk about negative, but could you address that? I mean, is there a concern that there is an issue with the health of the market or anything like that?
No, there's no issues with the health of the market. Obviously, this is a big arena. We put this event on sale before we had made our strategic goal to try and create more intimate events. Obviously, Indianapolis was a smaller show as well. So we set out, after tickets were on sale, to get it aligned with our whole global business of Wednesday nights. There's no denying that Wednesday nights will be a challenge. You know, it's not Saturday night fights, but they're perfect for television. They're great for the fans who can't commit every weekend that the UFC has an event. So we're excited to have them on Wednesdays. The fans showed up. There wasn't really many empty seats in the house. I think we were left with about 200 tickets that didn't sell for tonight. So we're ecstatic with the event. I think we delivered for the fans. We promised an intimate night. The fighters did a great job. So no, there's no problem with the market here, trust me.
And back in the United States, this event served as a lead-in for the Ultimate Fighter. We haven't heard a lot about the Ultimate Fighter Brazil, a third season. Are there any updates you can provide there?
Yeah, look, I've seen some of the stories out there, but let's be clear about something. We're in the middle of a 4-year deal with Globo, with Rede Globo. The commitment in that deal is that we will deliver 4 seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. We've done 1. We are in pre-production on the 2nd season under this new deal with The Ultimate Fighter. It's very likely that we'll have tryouts after the Badwadi event in November. So the UFC and Globo has a very strong partnership. The Ultimate Fighter is here. It's a great platform for the new up-and-coming Brazilian fighters, and we're excited, and our business continues to grow. We're investing in this market. We're opening an office in Sao Paulo. We're committing to more and more events. So we believe in this market, and this market is paying dividends for us.
Sure. And quickly, if I could, for Joseph, please. Joseph, obviously fantastic performance tonight. Jiu-Jitsu never really, got into the grappling game. Were you surprised the way it played out? Was did it play out versus your expectations, or were you a little surprised at how the whole thing went?
With Juicy being such a great grappler, he usually goes in and forces the issue right away with the grappling. But I think with me, he knew he had to have a good setup shot or it wasn't going to really work anyway. So, he tried his luck on the feet, and I don't know, he must have felt comfortable there. I mean, he was keeping his distance good and, had me coming in, wasn't really attacking. So, that surprised me a little bit. But, I was excited to go in there and test him on the floor and just, see what I had, go with such a great grappler on the floor. But it didn't end up that way, and I'm not complaining about it. Got the knockout.
And just lastly for you, I know you say, hey, I'm not in a rush, I'm not pressing the issue, but with the winning streak you're on, the way you're finishing top-ranked guys, can you sit there and say, you believe you're the #1 contender in the division and that it probably is the next logical step for you?
Yeah, definitely. I've believed I was the #1 contender, really since I lost, that I was the next best guy in the division, to Demetrius. He's been a great champion. But, I've proven I can go out there and beat, and not only beat, but finish the top guys in the division. But at the end of the day, I could bark for it or not say anything, but it's not up to me. So whatever the UFC decides, I respect it, and I'll 100% be ready for it.
Felipe Drummond, do Jornal Hoje.
Felipe Drummond from Hoje em Dia newspaper. I'd like to ask a question first to Marshall. Marshall, my question is, the problems that the UFC has faced here with the courts, thanks to the councilman Duarte, does that affect UFC receiving events in the future? And second, in the country of football, an event on a Wednesday evening, on a Wednesday, which football matches, will you rethink this in the future?
Just the issue with the councilman, can you be a little clearer on what that issue is?
that only people over 18 can come in, and in the future saying that minors cannot practice MMA.
Yeah, so I think I know what you're speaking of, although I'm a little confused by your question. But I know that there is a bill, we're monitoring a bill that's been placed in the federal government in Brasilia that's attempted to try and deal with this issue. Look, you know, if Dana were up here, he'd tell you we've dealt with this issue all over the world. You know, whether we're in the UK, whether we're in Australia, or whether we're in Germany, wherever it is, this issue has popped up. And what it ultimately comes down to is just the lack of understanding for whoever it is that's promoting this bill. So one of the things that we're proud to do, and we'd love to be welcomed into the conversation, is we can educate and inform as to why MMA is a proper sport, the positive attributes that it delivers to the youth. So it doesn't concern us. We know we have a lot of supporters here, and it will not affect our business going forward here in Brazil. And then your second question was, I've forgotten.
The country of soccer, right? But Wednesday's a soccer night. And will UFC rethink about having events on Wednesdays in Brazil?
Right. Look, when it's obvious, you know, the number one sport here in Brazil is soccer, and we know when we're doing Wednesday events that we're going to be competing for the buying market, if you will, for a ticket. But one of the things we know is that UFC and MMA has a loyal fan base, and it doesn't concern us. We're not here to compete with soccer. This is a unique, different sport. These athletes deserve just the same amount of recognition as any other athlete. So we're here to stay for Wednesdays, and we'll continue to deliver them.
Good evening, Lucilene Caetano from Veja Rio. My question is to Ronaldo Jacaré. Here, Ronaldo, here. First of all, congratulations with a fantastic victory. You're going quickly up, and you're being seen as a big promise. Should the result of Anderson and Chris Weidman, do you already see facing him as both of you are in the same team, or do you not even think about that? That's something which I can't think about. That's up to UFC. Anderson is someone I don't want to fight him. He's someone who is in my camp. He's my friend. He helps me, and I also help him. So I wouldn't be a good character if I'd say I wanted to fight him. But I'm a UFC fighter, and I hope that the UFC never gives us this fight. But I'm ready to face anyone in the world, in my weight class and in 205 also. My question is to Jacaré, as he just spoke. My name is Renato here on to the side. Jacaré, you just beat the third in the ranking, and ahead of you there's Bisping, who's going to fight Munoz. You also have Vitor, who has a fight with Henderson, and you have Anderson's fight at the end of the year. You always say that you used to take a lot to fight. How quickly do you want to come back to fight, even if it's a guy that's lower in the ranking, or is now the time to wait for one of those fights to see the results from those fights? Could you please analyze the scenario? Well, first of all, as you can say, I've never complained again because I've done two very quick fights. In the first week, the UFC already gave me a very strong opponent, and I like this opponent very much. And I tell you that I'm ready for anyone. I'm not going to ask for fights. I'm going to go to camp, I'm going to train, and I'm going to be ready to face any opponent because I am an employee who loves to work. And now I have a question to Glover. Ryan Bader's hand, did he surprise you in any way? And how hurt were you when he gave you that cross punch? No, his punch didn't surprise me because I know he had a heavy punch, and in fact I felt kind of dizzy there. He's a very strong opponent, but that's just part of the game. You know, we have to do good practice, be well practiced, and to go after the wins. In boxing, you have the weight count, which, you know, you drop and you have to count to 8. Here, unfortunately, there isn't. That's why this is a better sport. So that's what we need to do. You know, you have to go out pushing, lift the tree trunk and just go after him, you know, and do what I did. But Ryan is a very, very dangerous fighter in all areas. He tried the guillotine also. He's a very strong fighter. But you need to be ready for everything. Glover, here, please. I'd like you to tell us what's the feeling of fighting in Minas Gerais with another two people from Minas who also fought and won. I think it's very lucky that all the people from the state of Minas Gerais won. Fighting here in Minas Gerais was a dream for me because I had never fought here before, and I was able to make this dream come true. And luckily with a victory, because the crowd was like shouting. When I took that punch, the crowd, I think, helped me to stand back up. But I think it was good, it was a lot of fun, and I hope to come back and fight here again. Valmir Silva from MMA South magazine. My question's to Glover. Glover, what is it like to get the news that you will finally go for a title bout? What do you expect? Do you prefer John Jones or Gustafsson? Who do you prefer? To tell you the truth, I don't have any preference. My dream is to get the belt, but I believe John Jones will win. That's the way I see it. And I definitely prefer him also in a certain manner because John Jones has a better name. He's been a champ for a long time, so whoever goes to face him has to be very focused, very well trained, and to look at his game, to make him disappear, and obviously the knockout power, I believe I have it, and if I hit him, he's going to go down. Isabel Guimarães, MMA Alterosa. Sapo, you did a fantastic fight. You won the fight of the night, fighting at home. Do you remember what you promised that you were going to marry if you won the fight of the night? No, I didn't make that promise. Don't be a liar. Don't be a liar. God is fantastic. We had a fight with my girlfriend, and I said, forget the wedding, and now, well, you know, she had a fight with me, but let's talk. Nothing's really defined. We have some problems. Let's see what will happen. Don't put pressure. Don't put pressure.
Jacare, can I ask you one thing? You were, everybody know that you were the one of the best grappler in the world, but you showed that, very powerful punch tonight. What was your game plan tonight?
Eu vim pra
I came here to make my opponent disappear, to win the fight. I came here to terrify things. I trained a lot. I gave the best of myself, and my friends suffered in camp with me. So I had to put it on someone. Otherwise, when I got home, they were going to want to beat me. I came here ready. Destaque, thank you very much for preparing my hands. Cavallo, thank you for my strength and all the people who prepared me in my camp. Thank you very much.
And Piotr, can I ask one thing?
Okay.
Yeah. This is your UFC debut bout, and then you defeated the Brazilian by submission. How do you feel now?
Yeah, I am proud to be here. And I couldn't expect, that I will submit my opponent, but that was the opportunity, and I think I achieved that. What more could I say?
Aqui, Gladson Leão, Jornal Hoje em Dia.
Gladson Leão from Hoje em Dia newspaper. I'd like to ask Sapo and Glover and Bader, what do you think? What was it like to fight here in the Mineirinho, the biggest arena for sports, for specialized sports in Minas Gerais? What was it for you? The first fight I did in Brazil was in Maracanãzinho, and I already spoke to Pedro Rizzo and said, who knows, one day I'm going to fight in the Mineirinho, to take all the crowd there, the crowd that's closer to my hometown. I'm also from the state of Minas Gerais. I think this was a very good feeling, and the crowd was very loud, and I don't have anything to say about that, to tell you, and also I'm also very thankful for the victory. The feeling is fantastic to make another dream come true. Thank God I had this opportunity in my career. I think this is the best moment in my career. In 6 fights, it's my 5th victory. I won the bonus of the night, a very good fight. It was a big war. I think my fans were here, my students were here, my family, my girlfriend, the press from Minas Gerais. I think everyone left happy because everything worked out. And I just have to go out and celebrate and have fun and thank God because this was a night to be in the calendar of Minas Gerais, I think. A barbecue? Let's wait for the money to get into my bank account.
Karina
Globo Esporte. My question is to Glover. Glover, you said about fighting in Mineirinho, and I interviewed your family. Your sisters for the first time saw you fighting. Does that make a difference? Yes, definitely. When I walked in and I saw them sitting there in front, I sent them a few kisses. I blew kisses to them. You know, it's very, very cool. They never came. I think one saw a fight of mine before in São Paulo, I think. But in an event like this, like the UFC, so big, none of them, you know, all of them here, my brother, my sisters, so it was really, really good. It felt good. They had only watched on TV. I'd also like to know about Jacaré. You're not from Minas Gerais, you're from Espírito Santo, but you had a huge crowd. Everyone did your symbol. What was it like? What did it feel like? The feeling is great to see all of the people doing the Jacaré mouth, the crocodile mouth. I'm a guy who walks in with a lot of energy, and I saw everyone supporting me. I think that's something which is very good. I'd like to thank once again everyone from Minas Gerais because that was very, very cool.
Oi, Rafael Sapo, Cláudio Rezende da revista TUF Brazil, tudo bom?
Hi, okay, how are you? You had told me that that you were investing in boxing, a new trainer, a new coach. I'd like to know, do you think that that is part of your success today? Did you use the new techniques? Did you use what you learned from your new coach? You said that you were very anxious to see what would be the results. This is the first fight that I work with Mark, and he's from Frank Edgar, Edson Barbosa, Ricardo Almeida. It's the first time we worked together. We only had 2 months to work, but I think we already had results. I had been knocked down in the first round. The second round, I showed that my punches evolved, and now we'll have more time to work on this. I'm really very happy with my camp. Phil, Mark, Roma. There's a very good crowd behind me. Renzo, Cachorro. So I think we've been able to evolve my boxing and my posture, and I think this is we only had 2 months, but I think we've already seen some results. With 2 knockdowns in the first and the second round shows that my camp is very strong, and that will still show better things in the next fights, but it's already an advancement. Glover, despite the fact that part of your family is here, I'd like to know, what is a party like in Sobralha? Do you know about that? Is there already cachaça? Is there a party? Yes, tomorrow there'll be, but there was a big screen in the square in the middle of the city, so it's a big party. I'm sure there's a big party there, but I'm only going to be able to eat that barbecue tomorrow. But Steve Markle there, who's from the US, who came to help me in wrestling, he's already want to go and eat the tatu farofa.
Adriano
Albuquerque, combate.com.
How disappointed are you that you didn't get the finish right here? That you didn't get the finish there? Why did you go for the choke instead of trying to hammer fist and get the TKO? And where do you go from here?
Yeah, he was a little lower and you know, had his head down a little bit. I kind of just got a little over aggressive and tried to jump on the choke and got back up, and then ended up kind of rocking him again, and then kind of the same thing. Just a little too aggressive, wasn't staying tight, and then he got caught with a right hand and left hook, and you know, that was it. So, you know, for me, I think I feel good. I felt good tonight. Made some mistakes, mental errors, and for me, it's just going back and keep getting better. And in this sport, it's you come up real quick and you go down real quick. But you know, a big fight for me, I'm right back where I want to be. So, just going back and training hard and getting right back at it.
E para o Sapo, queria só fazer mais uma pergunta aqui.
Sapo, I'd just like to ask you another question. Sapo, here on the right.
Você na sua esquerda,
no, your left, sorry, your left.
Você conseguiu mais uma vitória.
You were able to get another victory, if I'm not mistaken, your fifth in the last 6.
Você estava dizendo que com
And
essa
you
você
said that with
esperava
this
pegar
one you
top 10.
expected to get one of the top 10. Is that what you still feel like after this victory? Do you think you deserve a top 10?
Eu acho que sim, né? Eu acho que estou
I
chegando
think
aí
so.
devagar.
I think I'm getting there very slowly, you know, just going slowly around the corners. The UFC had already told me that I had to do a knockout and a submission, and that didn't happen again today. But my fights have been good fights. My opponents have been strong people who have made a good victory for me. So today this was a 3-round fight and the best fight of the night. So I think once again we show that we have a lot of quality to be at the top. Now let's go up slowly, step by step. If they don't want to give me a top 10 now, but it will be in the next time. We have time to wait. I'm very young. I started to work with Mark now. We're going to evolve a lot. So I think everything has its time. Things are coming at a very right time in my life. And if it's going to be like this, we'll just wait for more time to get to the top. When I get to the top to fight against the top 10, I want to be ready. So let's just give time for time.
Lucas, ataque total. Minha
pergunta para o Ryan Bader. My questions to Ryan. Ryan.
Você é cara que já
You're a guy who's already had a fight against Lyoto Machida and John Jones and now Glover. I'd like to know what you think about Glover. Does he have a chance against John Jones? And in your opinion, what was missing for you to get the victory this night?
Yeah, he definitely has a chance. You know, he's one of the hardest hitters I've faced so far, you know. And for me, it was just not getting the victory tonight. It was being over-aggressive, and you know, I got hit with his strong punches, you know, and that's one thing he brings to the table against John Jones, his ability to put him away. So props to him. He had a great fight, and definitely feels he has a great chance for, you know, getting the title.
Cristiano Martins from MMA Premium Portal. My question is to Marshall. Marshall, I'd like to know if a strategy to hire Brazilians, if you have observed if the athlete is undefeated despite having had fought against inferior adversaries, opponents, and also to have stood out in national fights like the jungle fight or a mixture of all of these things, you know, like having a good manager that has a good relationship with the matchmakers of the UFC, because in some cases the people who are being hired, we see athletes in Brazil who I think have more experience than some of those who have been hired.
Look, the decision in terms of which fighters get signed, I think, is the question, is really down to what Joe and Sean Shelby see. I certainly wouldn't challenge their ability to pick talent, so it sounds like you're more comfortable doing that. But I do know that they are in touch with the market here. They're in touch with all the managers here. They have a very good feeling for who the fighters are here and who can compete in the UFC. So I'd leave those decisions to them.
Oi, Carlos Arthur da Grace Mag.
Carlos Arthur from Grace Mag. My question is to Glover. Glover, you said that you went into this fight slightly with too much confidence. What do you think you learned with that knockdown, which I think in a certain way made you dizzy, and what do you intend to take with you for the next fight, which will probably be a title bout? I still have to learn a lot. I think I was... I was thinking a lot about the knockout, and I was waiting for that. I was waiting for him to punch me so that I could punch him, counter-attack 2-3. But I was very close to him, you know, that's where he got me. And I remember we always have to move, and we always have to be the first. I have to do my strategy, which is always to move the head around and to go forward and to make those punches connect. I didn't move around, and, you know, that's the problem started, the danger started with that right hand. And I think you also, you know, you were happy with the victory, but when you were talking to your corners, and it looked as if you were saying you were frustrated. What did you tell them after the fight? I was a bit upset because despite Ryan Bader being a huge athlete really a great fighter. We always want to be the guy who goes in, and you know, I think the secret of the fight is for us to hit and not get hit, to punch and not get punched. So that's the tradition of boxing, you know. As they say in English, to hit and don't get hit. But unfortunately, this sport isn't like that. Ryan Bader is a great athlete. Pedro told me that after I went to complain to Pedro. He said, Glover, you fought once one of the best fighters in the world, so you can't be sad. Jacaré here. Jacaré, you said that you said sorry to the crowd in the arena because you couldn't do the Jacaré swim after the fight because you had hurt your foot at some moment. How's your foot? And when do you think you hurt your foot? Do you know exactly when it was? I think it was when I gave him a front kick. I think it hit his elbow and it hurt my toe. And it really hurt a lot. But I focused, I forgot the pain, and I was able to do a great fight.
For Ali, please. Ali, obviously a fantastic UFC debut. Can you talk about you know, how the night played out versus expectations? We hear about octagon jitters and nerves and that sort of things. How did it play out versus the way you pictured it?
Ali says that he didn't really have a plan for this fight because he didn't know Marcus Vinicius that well, and you know, being a first UFC bout, he was really expecting anything. But what he originally wanted to achieve in the first round, he achieved in the third round, which was a knockout. So overall, he's really glad and looking forward to his future bouts.
He was very patient, waiting to counterattack, so it played out a little slow at first. I'm curious if he felt pressure that he needed to turn up the volume, or if he was just comfortable with the way things played out.
Все, что должно было произойти в первом раунде, но я, скажу, расслабился тогда, когда уже прошел третий раунд.
Well, first round was simple, you know, pressure. He says the pressure was so great that he really couldn't concentrate on what he was doing. He was just going with the flow. But after the first round, he says he really came down and was able to dictate the fight as he wanted.
And just finally, the flyweight division is a new division, not a lot of fighters. You can move up very quickly. How does he envision his career? Is he wanting to get to the top as quickly as possible, or does he feel like, you know, he needs to develop a little bit and kind of patiently move up the ladder?
Я не хочу загадывать то, что не хочу загадывать наперед то, что будет, все равно произойдет. И не интересует меня, с кем меня поставят драться, с кем у меня будет следующий бой и вообще с кем я буду драться. Это моя работа. Меня интересует пояс. Вот и все.
Well, he says that being a professional MMA fighter is his professional career. So he really doesn't want to forecast. He doesn't want to plan as who he fights. He says he really doesn't mind who he fights, and he wants to take things just in a natural pace, really.
We'll take two more questions here if we could.
Para você, Marshall. Cláudia Rezende.
Marshall, for you, Claudio Rezende.
Fiz uma entrevista com você
I did an interview with you just before today's UFC, and you said that there is an idea of doing more regional
seria uma das cidades estudadas, né?
Fights here in Minas Gerais, and Uberlândia is a city that you would consider. When do you intend to do that? What is the criteria that you want for a city? Why Uberlândia? Could you please talk to us about that?
Well, we're going into our 2014 planning. We're actually in the middle of it now, and Uberlândia is one of the locations we are looking at. And I think for us, you know, we're trying to find venues that can either be an intimate setting for a Wednesday night or a big enough setting that we can fill on a Saturday night. So we have challenges, you've heard me say before, in Brazil with some of the arenas, but Uberlândia is one that we believe will be able to hold our event, so we're looking at it very closely.
Para 2014 já seria então.
You would consider Uberlândia for 2014 already?
Yes, it's on our list.
Can I have one question? Alguém aí sabe se eles vão cobrar imposto
Does anyone know if they're going to charge a tax on this bonus of a night?
Não é possível que o Brasil vai tirar mais essa.
They're not going to take another tax
Espero que
cut.
não.
I hope not.
All right, we'll get one more question. That one didn't count.
Lucas Carrano, site Super Lutas.
Lucas Carrano from Super Lutas website. Marshall, you said that Brazil continues part of UFC plans to continue to hold events here in the country. But today's event and even last week's in Indianapolis showed that these Wednesday night fights can be smaller or slightly smaller. Is that something that you think about in Brazil or even abroad for the fight night to have smaller events for smaller crowds and in smaller arenas?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we know Wednesdays are a challenge for people. It's the middle of the work week, and our events are a little bit early, and they maybe run a little late. So we are looking for smaller venues. We want them to be intimate experiences for people. We think we delivered that tonight. We think Indianapolis delivered that, and that's our plan, is to make the events seem a little more special for people. So that's our plan. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Mucho obrigado.